Hello, hello, hi, folks. Welcome. Happy Wednesday, in hopes that you squeezed more out of your day than the day squeezed out of you. Welcome. Good to see you. I'm wearing my Rocky Butt Kiss shirt in honor of my man Rocky. It's his birthday today. I think it's his 76th, I want to say. Team Money, what is good? What is happening? Good to see you, bro. So yeah, today is Rocky's birthday. I think it's 76, like I said. And of course, come on. I can't leave my man hanging like that. Gotta tell his story. I haven't told his story for a long time. Actually, it's probably been over a couple years. So I know some of you are new audience to me, and you have no idea that I'm such a Rocky fan. And I mean, come on, like seriously, right? Same old, bro. I'm not really sure what that refers to. So yeah, I'm a huge Rocky fan. I have probably, just give you a little brief, I've probably watched, no exaggeration, honestly. And those of you who know me, know this is true. I've probably watched each Rocky movies. Okay, the first 5, okay? At least, some of you guys are gonna laugh, but at least 50 times each. So I kind of have the line of every character in every film memorized. I kind of can do them with an accent too. I can try. Sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm not good. But anyway, Rocky is a huge thing. When you think about movies, and then you break it down to sports movies, and then you break it down to like inspirational of all time movies, and then Rocky's up there, if not the very first one. I am yet to run into somebody that says I haven't seen Rocky. Now, granted, I have never heard of anybody or seen anybody who's seen Rocky like 50 times. I haven't, but I'm sure there's some of them are out there. But at least people have seen Rocky 1. That's kind of their introduction to Rocky. So, Sylvester Stallone, right? The man behind Rocky, if you would. This guy, he actually, believe it or not, when he was born, the doctor took him out with a forceps, and the forceps actually pulled on the left side of his jaw. That's why his jaw is deformed. It actually got deformed at birth, and that's why he talks the way he talks, because his jaw was yanked out, if you would. So from early age, he already knew he wanted to be in the movie gig, right? He wanted to be in the movie business, if you would. He didn't know if he wanted to be an actor or not, but he knew he wanted to be in the movie business, if you would. So he decides to move to New York. Moves to New York, and he goes for auditions left and right, and everybody laughs at him, and they tell him, hey, listen, man, you look weird, you look kind of strange, you talk kind of weird, nobody wants to see you, or nobody wants to hear you even talk, so it's not the thing. So he says that he was turned down by 1,500 times for auditions. 1,500 times he tried to audition, and he was turned down. Can you imagine that? 1,500 times. So, and obviously some auditions were multiple ones, right? Obviously not 1,500 each times, right? So finally he gets a shot at a movie, and they say, okay, you know what, you can play a role in this this movie. And this movie is nothing you and I have heard of. And he actually played a role for 20 seconds. And the role was he was going to get beat the heck up for 20 seconds. So he played a couple other movies like that, but obviously nothing really pans out. He's dead broke. They're just him and his wife. They don't even have any cash to turn on like heat, right? They're just really dead broke. And this is funny. I think this is funny. Some people will not find this funny. You'll know who. So he decides to sell his wife's jewelry. Probably not a good idea. He sells his wife's jewelry to keep the heat on, for food and stuff, and that just kind of does it, right? So she's nagging to him every day. Why don't you get a job? Sold my jewelry. You have no money. What kind of a guy you are? What kind of a man you are? Why don't you get a job? And so they asked him, actually. They said, why didn't you get a job? And this is one of the takeaways, and I really want you to pay attention to this one. This is huge. So they say, why didn't you get a job? Like at that point, like you're dead broke. You can't afford anything. Wife is nagging, screaming, yelling. So what's going on? Why didn't you get a job? And his response was that if he got a job, he would believe that it would take him back and it would kill his fire and drive, if you would, to pursue the movie gig, right? So he didn't want to derail. He wanted to just keep an eye on the prize, and he wanted to just be focused on that. And I think that's just so powerful, because so many of us give in at that time, right? So easy to just give in. I have given in so many times at those tough times, and I've said, you know what, the heck with this, I'm going back to this. And he just he said he didn't want to do that. So because it was so bad, that it was so cold at the place that they had no heat. So one day he goes to the library. I think this is the most extensive of Sylvester's Sly's story that I've ever told. I know that much. Maybe I haven't shared a couple, I don't know if you guys knew that, so he goes to a library, right? He goes to a library, and because of the heat, because it's just so cold. So he goes to that library, and there's a book on there on Poe, right? And he picks up this book, and he starts reading it, and he gets really, really into it, right? And he says that gave him this thing about becoming a writer. So that's the thing that gave him the drive to become a writer. So the next day he decides to become a writer. So he starts to write screenplays and stuff like that, and he sends them to different places, and obviously everybody's shooting him down. They're like, no way, this is like garbage. This doesn't even this stuff is not good. Finally, he sells his first one, and guess what it is? It's $100. It's $100 for another movie that nobody's ever heard of. I think it's called I don't remember the name. So again, dead broke. They got no money. I think his car was $40 at the time, had blown up. You know what I mean? He had like $104 in the bank. And he had his dog, Butkus. Now, the dog in the movie Rocky, that's the actual dog. That's his actual dog. And that's his actual name. Butkus. Yo, Butkus. So he's so broke, he decides he's got to sell his dog. So he goes and stands in front of a liquor store, and tries to convince people to buy his dog for $50. This guy stops by and negotiates with him. and gets butt kissed for $25. When Rocky comes home, he says, that was the lowest point in his life. He talks about that. He goes, the day that I had to sell butt kiss was the lowest point in my life. Obviously, the wife's gone at this point, and she's adios, and he's just depressed. And a couple weeks has gone by, and he's watching this fight between Muhammad Ali and this no-name guy called Whipley, and it's this white guy that keeps getting beat up but keeps coming forward. So all of a sudden, he has the Rocky idea. He says he was so excited that after that fight, he shuts off the TV and he writes for 20 hours straight without sleeping, eating, anything. 20 hours straight. And guess what he wrote? He wrote Rocky. So he wrote Rocky in 20 hours. Now, he's so excited, right? He's got this script, the palm of his hand, and it's just like his baby. It's like this creation, right? And he's just like overwhelmed with emotions. And then so he starts reaching out to people for them to buy the script and turn it into a movie. And one after another, they turn him down. This is too predictable. This is no good. Who wants to see this? This is such a boring story. And he says he wrote all the stuff that every one of those people, every director that told him, he wrote every one of them down. And he read them back at the night of the Oscars. How cool is that, right? That's like the best revenge. I think that's awesome. So finally, one director, one team says, you know what? We like this script. We're going to pay you $125,000. Now, mind you, this is a guy who just sold his dog, his best friend, for $25. You think $125,000 would be a lot of money to him, especially back then? Yeah. So he's all excited. He says, that's great. I got to play in the movie. And they're like, whoa, listen, nobody wants to see you play, dude. Like your face, the way you talk and stuff, nobody wants to see you play. So the deal is off. So they take the deal away. They call him back in a week. They really like this script, and they say, you know what? We're going to increase the offer by $100,000. We'll give you $225,000 for the script. And Rocky says, and Sly says, I got to play in it. This is my baby. I got to play in it. Rocky is me. I got to play in this movie. They're like, no. Nobody, we're not going to take that chance. You suck. We're not going to take that chance. So, no. I call him back in another week. They're willing to go up to, are you ready for this? $325,000. $350,000. They go up to $350,000. And Sly says, I gotta play in it. Otherwise, I'm not selling it. So they call him back and they say, all right, you can play in the movie, in the Rocky. You get one take. All Rocky 1 was done with one take. There were no retakes. It was just all done on one act. Right? So you get to do it in one act and $35,000. So we went from $350,000 to $35,000 just for him to take a chance on himself. You see that? That's like a $300,000 drop for somebody who's dead broke and had to sell his dog, to drop that low just to take a chance on himself. I think that is huge. Something we could really take away. He takes $35,000. He does the movie. At the time, does 200 million. I don't know what it's done now. 200 million, pretty good deal. And it only took $1 million. They actually the budget for Rocky 1 was only 1 million. So they spent 1 million and look what they made, right? Here's the other thing. Guess what he did? The first thing he did when he got that 35,000. He went to the liquor store that he sold his dog at and stood there for 3 days waiting for the guy to come back so he can buy his dog back. Finally, the guy shows up and he goes, "Oh my God, you're the person that I sold my dog." Now it's about a month and a half or so, right? He goes, "I sold my dog to you about a month and a half ago. I was dead broke, desperate, sold him for $25, right? But I'm willing to give you $100. I mean, he's my best friend." The guy's all like, "No way, no way. That's my dog. I'm not giving it back. No way." Sly goes, okay, you know what? You're right. I'll give you $500. $500. You pay 25. The guy's all like, "No way. No way." Okay, all right. Sly goes up to 1,000. Says, "I'll pay you 1,000. The guy still says, "No way. No, not doing it for 1,000. Sly finally says, "Okay, I mean, you bought the dog for $25. All right, I'll tell you what. $5,000 I'll pay you, and I'll get my dog back." And the guy says, "No way. No way." So guess what the final price for Butkus to buy him back would be? To buy Butkus back, Sly spent $15,000, 15 grand to the guy, paid 15,000 to the guy, and a small part in Rocky to get his dog back. Remember, he only got a check for 35,000, and he spent 15,000 of it on Butkus. Butkus, baby, And the rest is history. Rocky 1, 2. I mean, over the weekend, 4th of July, every year there's a Rocky marathon, and I watch all the Rockies all over again, like I did this weekend. So there's so much stuff, not only in his personal life story, but if you were to take the movie as a whole, like the whole Rocky series, if you were going to take that whole thing, there are so many things that you can take away from, that you can apply to your daily life from literally almost every scene, that it's just so grand. The way he wrote and put together the series and the movies, and the message that he delivers, and the way he delivers it. It's one of those things that when you watch the movie, it sticks with you. You know what I mean? Like, you don't forget that. You don't forget Now, you may not be able to break down the movie like scene by scene and analyze everything. That's not what I'm saying. But it does something to you. The story, the movie, the character, it does something to you. It moves you. No matter how long ago you saw the movie, what age you saw it at, you probably, most people I talk to, when they say, "Oh, I've seen it," they can remember where they were, which I think is crazy, right? Because you can't do that with all the movies. It's amazing. Like, when you ask somebody, I don't know if you watched the movie. If you watched the movie, if you remember where you saw it first, drop something in the comments. Say, oh, I remember, something like that. Because it's amazing. It's one of those things that it just kind of stays with you. It doesn't like leave. You know what I mean? It has, I don't know, it has such an effect on you. You know what I mean? So, but there's so much to take away from the Rocky scenes, the Rocky movies, and his story. The fact that, 1,500 times he's turned down to get a 20-second role. I mean, think about that. Would you do that? I question myself that. Would I do that 1,500 times? You gotta really want to be in the movie business, right? 1,500 times they turn him down, and he gets a 20-second role where he doesn't even speak a word. He just gets beat the heck up for 20 seconds. 20 seconds is a long time to get a beat down. I think that tells a lot, right? It's simple to sit here and say, "Oh yeah, Rocky, great story, man." But you know what? When you take it and take the pieces apart and kind of try to apply that to your life, then it becomes surreal, right? I don't know if you guys are commenting or throwing anything on or not. I don't even know if anybody's on. T-Money, are you still on? I don't know what's going on. It's just kind of, I feel like it's frozen. But if you're on or something, throw something at me. I don't know if you are. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things. It sticks with you, right? You just, it kind of sits with you. And there's always things you can go back and say, "Oh, you know what? I could do that. I could learn from that. I could learn from that punch. I could learn from that hit. And I can still move on and still go on." Oh, I see it. Okay, still here. So that's what's so powerful about this movie, because it will always have that effect. And his story, right? And his story. So hopefully you guys got some love, gotta get some inspiration from his story. Come on. If his story doesn't inspire you, then I suck at telling it. That's what it is, because his story is one for the ages. I mean, come on. From the moment he was born, he was pulled out with a forceps, and yanked out his jaw, right? The moment he was born. So there's a lot to learn from that. So hopefully you guys got some inspiration, some value from it. And hey, if you've seen any of the Rocky movies, it doesn't matter if it's the first one or the last one. If you've seen any of them, and if you remember where you were when you saw it, drop something in the comments. I would love to see if that's still true with most people. Do you if you saw it, do you remember where you were first time you saw it? Maybe the only time you saw it. So drop it in the comments below. Let this feed grow. I appreciate you guys. Rocky and Butkus send you their love. and until tomorrow, when we do it all over again. Much love.